Ladies and gentlemen, welcome on back. In this one today, we're going to be doing a tier list. Now, for this one, we're going to be ranking every single Call of Duty game up until Vanguard. I haven't played much of the Modern Warfare 2022 yet. Haven't played the campaign on that one yet, so I don't really know too much about that game. So for this one, it's going to be every single game up until Vanguard. And as you can see, we do have the tier list right here as well. We have S, A, B, C, D, E, F. And then I also have a never played tier because some of these COD games, like the super early ones, I haven't played too many of those. So I'm probably going to drop a couple into never played. But as you can see down here as well, we also have pretty much every single COD game up until Vanguard, like I said. Now for this one, we're not only just going to be doing the normal zombies game mode like how we would usually do for these videos. We're also going to be ranking the multiplayer and the campaign as well. So this list is going to be a little bit different from the last one that we did. One more thing before we do start, leave a like, subscribe, do all that. YouTube analytics show that 95% of you aren't subscribed, so please do that real quick before we start off. But with all that out of the way let's just jump right into it. Now, coming in for our first three picks, I'm going to do these three out of the way really quick. We have Call of Duty 1, Call of Duty 2, and Call of Duty 3 all going into never played. Now, I haven't played the first two Call of Duty games. I did do a little bit of the third one. I did play that one a little bit, but not enough to really get my thoughts on it and rank it properly. I haven't played too many of the early Call of Duty games. I'm not that nostalgic when it comes to Call of Duty. I only really started playing after WWII when it came to the zombies mode and whatnot. So that's when I really started to play Call of Duty a lot more. But when it came to the early stages of Call of Duty, the first three I didn't really play too much. So for those ones, I think they're going to be the only three that I put in never played. Now coming into our first actual pick, this is going to be going to Call of Duty 4, the original Modern Warfare, and I'm going to put it into C tier. I love this game a lot. Don't get me wrong. It is personally one of my favorites. I do love it a lot. But the thing is that there is no third game mode with this game. That's kind of what's holding it back a lot. One thing I will give this game a lot of credit for is that it was the first Call of Duty that did get a lot of attraction, a lot of attention. The first three Call of Duty games weren't really too popular with the public, but then when Call of Duty 4 came out with the original Modern Warfare, then a lot of people started to get into Call of Duty. This game was really addicting back in the day, but I'm not going to let nostalgia blind me. And yes, it was really fun back in the day. I did love the multiplayer. I did love the campaign, but it's very bare bones compared to what we have now. Granted, what is in Call of Duty 4 is actually really good, but I'm going to have to keep it in C tier because there's just so many better options nowadays. All right, now coming up next, we have Call of Duty World at War. Now, World at War, I'm going to put it in B tier. I love this game a lot for one reason, and that's the zombies mode. This was the first game to introduce Call of Duty zombies, and granted, it's not the best when it comes to zombies. Personally, not one of my favorites, but it definitely excelled against Call of Duty 4 when it came to introducing a third game mode for the first time, so I do really appreciate Call of Duty World at War for that. Not only was the zombies game mode really solid, but the campaign was honestly one of the best as well. You had so many iconic characters like Reznov, which is really fun to play through. Definitely really solid when it came to that. The only reason I'm not going to put it higher up on this list is because the multiplayer was a little bit lacking. I don't remember too many people playing the World at War multiplayer. That might just be me, but I mainly remember this game for the campaign and the zombies mode, which are both really solid. So for that, I'm going to be putting it at the B tier. All right, now moving up next on our list, we have Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. Now, I'm going to put this game into the A tier. Now, with Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, it's really good when it came to the campaign and the multiplayer. By far excels against Call of Duty 4. It looked a lot better, it felt a lot better, and it played overall just a lot better. And they did also add in the Spec Ops mode. Now, granted, I don't really like Spec Ops that much. I didn't find too much enjoyment with it, but I know a lot of people did, and it's definitely a lot better than just having nothing at all with Call of Duty 4. With Call of Duty 4, I played a lot of the multiplayer. The campaign I did like a little bit, and with World at War, I only played the zombies mode for the most part, and then a little bit of the campaign. But with Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, I was grinding out the multiplayer and I was grinding out the campaign as well. I love this game a lot when it came to those two aspects. Definitely one of the best when it comes to the campaign and the multiplayer. But again, I'm not going to put into the S tier like most people would because I don't really like Spec Ops that much. And this game is really broken. I mean, there's so many little clutches and things that you can do in this game that just completely broke the game overall and just made it completely unfair. Like with the noob tube launchers, it just felt completely broken. But I mean, that's kind of part of the fun with this game, so it is really fun when it came to that. Overall, though, still one of my favorites. Not S tier because of those few couple of things, but still very good. Now moving into our next game, we have Black Ops 1. Now Black Ops 1, I'm going to put into S tier. This is going to be our first S tier game, and this game is by far the best when it comes to just normal everyday things that you see in Call of Duty. It has one of the best multiplayers in my opinion, definitely a top 5. When it comes to the campaign, it is definitely a top 5 as well. The campaign was a lot of fun to play through, and you had so many iconic characters, and then return of some old characters from World at War, so it had that linkage between those games, and it just felt really fun to play through the campaign. And when it comes to the zombies mode as well, it is not the best, and I will give it some hate for that, but it is definitely still really solid, a lot better than World at War in my opinion. So for that, it is definitely deserving of the S tier. Now coming up next on our list, we have Modern Warfare 3. Now Modern Warfare 3, I'm going to put it between Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 and then Call of Duty 4. Personally, I love this game a lot. It is still a lot of fun. The problem is that it's too similar to Modern Warfare 2, and it is really good for having that aspect, but it's a double-edged sword. First of all, it's really bad because Modern Warfare 2 is always going to be the original. It's always going to be the one that people go to first. It was the first of its time, but with Modern Warfare 3, it kind of took that formula and then updated it, made it a little bit more fair to the players that are playing on multiplayer. Definitely a lot better when it came to the casual audience because there wasn't some broken aspect that you could exploit in the game, so I do give it a lot of respect for that. But when it came to the overall fidelity of the game, it just can't compete with Modern Warfare 2 in my opinion. I'm gonna put it above Call of Duty 4 as well because it does have a Spec Ops mode, but overall it's pretty much a copy and paste of Modern Warfare 2. There isn't too much different when it came to the graphic fidelity of the game as well. It felt the same when it came to the movement, and everything else with just shooting a gun just felt all the same. So for that, I'm gonna have to keep it at the B tier. Now coming up next on our list, we have Black Ops 2. Now Black Ops 2, I'm going to put it above Black Ops 1 in the S tier. Personally, this is my favorite Call of Duty game of all time. I love the zombies mode. I love the multiplayer. I love the campaign. Everything about this game when working together is just the best when it comes to Call of Duty. When it comes to the campaign, it is the best in my opinion because of the multiple outcomes that you can get towards the end. There's a lot of different endings that you can do, and it gives the player multiple options to play through, which I think Call of Duty needs to do a lot more of. This was a huge change when it came to the original Call of Duties, and definitely a huge step forward when it comes to just Call of Duty as a whole. And I do love the zombies mode a lot as well. Granted, Transit and Die Rise are a little bit bad, but when it came to the other modes and the other maps that are on this game, it is really good and the best by far, with Origins, Mob of the Dead, and Buried. Those are the best maps by far in my opinion when it came to this game, and when it comes to just zombies as a whole, they are definitely some of the best as well. When it comes to the multiplayer, I had a lot of fun grinding this multiplayer, definitely one of my favorites as well. Overall, this game just does everything phenomenally well, and so for that, I'm gonna have to put it in the S tier. Now, moving into our next game, we have Call of Duty Ghost. Now, Call of Duty Ghost, I'm gonna put into the E tier. For me personally, I love this game a little bit more than most people. I know a lot of people would probably put this game into the F tier, but for me personally, I do see a few redeeming factors when it comes to Call of Duty Ghost. First of all, with the multiplayer, it's by far the weakest when it comes to Call of Duty. There's horrible maps, the movement is horrible as well, and then they also changed the UAV system as well to the standing podium that you'd place down, and then you'd have a UAV kind of area. It was really bad. I hated the UAV system in this game. I hated the maps. I hated the movement. When it came to the multiplayer, Call of Duty Ghost, definitely one of the worst. When it came to the campaign, there's actually a pretty decent campaign for this game, and I did love some of the aspects of the campaign. I wish that they had a little bit more in depth when it came to the story. I did enjoy the Ghost campaign a little bit, but when it came to every other campaign, there's so many better options like Modern Warfare 2, World at War, Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2 that Call of Duty Ghost just can't compete with. When it came to the extinction mode, it wasn't really that good either. It was way too far out there from what Call of Duty is known for, and with the way that they did extinction, it was really bad in my opinion. I know there were some good maps and there were some good boss fights as well into the DLC season, but overall extinction is just inferior to every single side game mode, especially when it comes to zombies. So for that, I'm gonna have to put Ghost into E tier. Now moving into our next game, we have Advanced Warfare. Now Advanced Warfare, I'm going to put it into the D tier. For me personally, I love this game a little bit more than Ghost. I know a lot of people would probably put this game in the E or the F tier, but for me personally, I do love it a little bit more than Ghost. Not enough to put into the average tier with the other games up here, but it is pretty okay. I do love some aspects in this game. I do love how there's kind of 4 different game modes in this game. You have Exo Survival, you have Exo Zombies, then you have the multiplayer, and then the campaign. With Exo Survival, it was kind of a Spec Ops version of the Advanced Warfare system. It didn't do too well. It was okay for a few of the rounds and for a few of the maps that it's on, but overall it didn't really do too well. When it comes to the multiplayer, it's actually a lot better than Call of Duty Ghost in my opinion. Probably not better than most of the other games up here, but it still is pretty decent. When it comes to the zombies mode, it's one of the worst. I mean, the maps aren't really that good. And then you also had to wait months for this game to come out with the zombies mode. And then you also had to pay for the on-disc map. It didn't just come with a free map that you could play on like most other zombie games. So it does really suck when it comes to that. The campaign, it was alright, very, very forgettable when it comes to the campaign on this game, so I can't really give it too much credit. Overall, it's just a below average game when it comes to everything. There's so many better options when it comes to Call of Duty, and Advanced Warfare just doesn't really meet up to most other games, so for that, we're going to have to put it at the D tier. Now, coming up next on our list, we have Black Ops 3. Now, when it comes to Black Ops 3, I'm going to put it into the B tier. For me, personally, I love this game a lot when it comes to just the zombies mode, and that's mainly what I play Call of Duty for nowadays is the zombies mode, so I definitely am going to put it a little bit higher than most of the other games on this list. But when it comes to everything else like the campaign and the multiplayer, it's not that great. The multiplayer is okay. I don't like the movement because it made snipers useless in this game. I also don't like many of the specialist weapons in this game as well. It kind of broke the flow of how you play Call of Duty multiplayer. Didn't really like it too much for that. When it comes to the campaign, it is by far one of the worst, probably the worst when it comes to Call of Duty in general. But overall, the carrying factor when it comes to Call of Duty Black Ops 3 is the zombies mode. So for that, we're going to have to put it into the B tier. Now, moving into our next game, we have Infinite Warfare. Now, Infinite Warfare, it's very similar to Black Ops 3 in the sense where the zombies mode is pretty good, but everything else kind of sucks. I'm going to put it into the C tier. For me personally, I didn't like the campaign all too much. I know a lot of people said that this campaign was really, really good, and I did enjoy the ending a little bit. I loved how it paid homage to everyone who was in the campaign or a part of it. It was really cool for that. Overall, it wasn't the best campaign. It wasn't the worst. It was kind of meh. When it comes to the multiplayer, it was by far the worst. I hated the maps. I hated the weapons. I hate how they locked weapons behind these crates and then you had to get keys, and then they did the whole Modern Warfare 2 remastered with the crates as well. It was really, really bad with this game when it came to microtransactions and when it just came to the overall multiplayer gameplay as well. It wasn't that good. When it comes to the zombies mode, it was actually pretty good. I did love Zombies in Spaceland, and I also did love the Mephistopheles boss fight at the end. It just sucks because all the other maps surrounding it, like the DLC season, it just wasn't that good. Overall, though, I would say that this game does have a lot of ups and downs, and the downs really, really suck, but the ups are actually pretty good. Overall, very, very solid game, deserving of the C tier. Now, coming up next on our list, we have World War II. Now, World War II, I'm going to put into the F tier. For me, personally, it is my least favorite Call of Duty game. The campaign was horrible, the multiplayer was horrible, and then the zombies mode was also one of the worst. When it came to the campaign, it looked really good and it played somewhat good, but the overall story was just very underwhelming and I just didn't like it all too much. When it comes to the multiplayer, it was by far the worst on launch. Granted, they did make it a little bit better later down the line, but on launch, it was unexcusable. They had this horrible class system that just didn't work well whatsoever, and then the supply drops were also horrible for this game as well. When it came to the zombies mode, the Final Reich was the only map that was somewhat good, but even compared to most Treyarch games and most Treyarch maps, the Final Reich just can't compete. Overall, this is my least favorite Call of Duty game. It just felt like a mindless cash cow, so for that, it's definitely deserving of the F tier. Now, moving into our next game, we have Black Ops 4. Now, Black Ops 4, I'm going to put into the C tier. I know a lot of people probably hate this game, and a lot of people probably like it. It's very, very mixed opinion when it comes to Black Ops 4 as a whole. For me personally, it's kind of middle of the row. I don't like it that much, but I don't really hate it much either. When it comes to the campaign, there is none. There is a blackout mode instead, which I do love a lot more. I think that the blackout mode was a lot more replayable. I think it was pretty good for the time. Granted, the graphics were really, really bad, but the gameplay itself was actually pretty decent for the battle royale during that time period. So overall, blackout, pretty good. When it came to the multiplayer, it was pretty bad from what I've played through. The time to kill was just really slow. It took forever to kill anyone. And then when it came to these specialist weapons and the specialist abilities, they were just really annoying. A lot of them were broken. They had to do a lot of patching to make this game kind of playable. But overall, I didn't really like the multiplayer all too much. When it came to the zombies mode, it was really good. I know a lot of people like to hate on the zombies mode. A lot of people like to say that it's the worst zombies mode of all time. It has a lot of maps that you can play on, a lot of different ways that you can play through each and every single map. So overall, I would say it's okay. Definitely not better than Black Ops 3, because Black Ops 3 is just on a different level when it comes to the zombies mode, but still a pretty decent zombies mode when it comes to Black Ops 4. Overall, just another average game when it comes to Call of Duty. Definitely deserving of the C tier. Now, moving into our next game, we have Modern Warfare 2019. Now, when it comes to this game, there's only one redeeming factor, and that's the campaign. Everything else kind of sucks. I'm going to put in the D tier. When it comes to the campaign, I love the story. I love how it kind of went back to the old Modern Warfare days when it comes to the story. I loved how they tried to stray away from the whole trying to be safe with Call of Duty, and they just jumped in, nosedived with the whole story and whatnot. It works really well with this game, and I do love how it looks as well. The graphics were updated a lot. This was the first game that used a new engine, so I do really appreciate them for that. When it comes to the multiplayer, it's not that good. Ghost was overused to the bone, and everybody was just playing the camping game because the time to kill was way too fast. You had no time to react to anything. The moment you got shot, you were just dead. It just felt like a real life simulator. It felt like every single match was a hardcore match from every single other COD game, so I didn't really like the multiplayer all too much. When it comes to the Spec Ops mode, there wasn't really much you could do on the maps that they gave you. It was really bad for the start of the game, and then they kind of gave up midway through the season on making the Spec Ops mode something redeemable. So definitely the worst when it comes to Spec Ops mode. I would even play like Exo Survivals over the Modern Warfare 2019 Spec Ops mode. So definitely really bad when it comes to that. Overall, the Spec Ops mode was really bad. The multiplayer was pretty bad as well. The only redeeming factor and why it's not going into the F tier is the campaign, which is saving it a little bit, bringing it up to the D tier. Now, next up, we have Cold War. Now, for Cold War, this might be surprising, but I'm actually going to put into the A tier. I know a lot of people are going to disagree with that. For me personally, I loved Cold War a lot, and this just might be my personal opinion, but when it came to Cold War, this was the first game where I introduced a lot of my friends on to Call of Duty, so they had a lot of fun playing this game. I had a lot of fun playing this game with friends as well. Definitely a lot. When it comes to Black Ops Cold War, everything about this game just works well. When it comes to the campaign, it took a lot of inspiration from Black Ops 2, which I loved. I loved how there was multiple endings. I love the different paths that you can take while you're playing through the game, and I love how it gives players the options to change up the story and whatnot. It worked well for this game, and I want to see them do more of that, because every time they do the Black Ops 2 or the Cold War style of campaign, they just turn out to be one of my favorites. When it came to the multiplayer, it was the first time ever in a while that they got the time to kill right, which I do appreciate a lot. Black Ops 4, it was too slow. Modern Warfare 2019 is too fast, and Cold War is just right. When it came to the multiplayer, definitely one of my favorites as well. When it came to the zombies mode, it was really good. I love the systems. The only problem that I did have with the zombies mode was the maps. I loved Outbreak. I know a lot of people didn't really like Outbreak all too much, but for me personally, I loved Outbreak a lot. Overall, everything in this game was done well, and I know this game just gets a lot of hate for the most part because a lot of people don't like the newer Call of Duty games, but for me personally, Cold War is definitely one of my favorite and definitely deserving of the A tier. Now, moving into our last game, we have Vanguard. Now, Vanguard, I'm going to put into never played because I haven't bought this game. I'm not going to be buying this game. I saw all the reviews. I saw how the game works out. The zombies mode just looks horrible. The multiplayer looks horrible. The campaign just looks horrible as well. Everything about this game just kind of reminds me of World War II, but worse. I don't know how you set the bar so incredibly low and still not pass it. So for that, definitely never going to buy this game. If I did, I would probably put into the F tier just by looking at other people's gameplay and just the way that this game turned out. I don't think I would like this game whatsoever, which is the reason why I haven't played it and won't be playing it at all. Anyways, guys, it's going to wrap up this list for today. As you can see, for the top 5, we have Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2, Modern Warfare 2, 2, Call of Duty Cold War, and Black Ops 3. I moved Black Ops 3 from the bottom of B tier to the top of B tier. I definitely like it a lot more than World at War and Modern Warfare 3. And for our bottom 5, we have World War II, Call of Duty Ghosts, Advanced Warfare, Modern Warfare 2019, and then Infinite Warfare. If you guys did enjoy, leave a like, subscribe, do all that. So leave your comments down below if you want to see me do any other type of videos. Check down the description as well for the other type of zombie related videos and Call of Duty related videos. And yeah, I got nothing much else to say, so peace.